90 days till we go to the polls. Now, here's something to think about whilst we ready ourselves. The National Democratic Congress, NDC, says it will create 1 million jobs within its first year of office. The party's flag bearer initially revealed they would create 1 million jobs in its tenure if voted into power through the $10 billion big push in infrastructure. The manifesto, however, states the party plans to hit this target in its first year alone through a myriad of programs. Here's former Deputy Finance Minister Mona Korte speaking to me on Prime Morning on Joy Prime Television.
The manifesto looks at. The first one is Ejumapa, which looks at bringing in 250,000 jobs every year of the 4 or 5 years that we are looking at. So with Ejumapa, it's targeted towards the $10 billion big push, and that's an infrastructure program. We're looking to put in all the infrastructure that will enable the economy to grow and be able to offer those jobs. So we'll speak to some of those jobs later. So that's 250,000 from the Ejumapa, which is coming on the tail of the $10 billion big push. The second area, which will be from the public sector, we are looking at moving the numbers there, which is currently about 650,000 to 1 million jobs in the public sector. I know that in the past we've all spoken about too many people being in the public sector. The salary is a big part of the budget. Wages and salaries are a big part of the budget. However, when we compare Ghana to many other similar countries, we find that the number of public workers to employed workers is very low. It's not at all as high as other countries, and I'll mention a few. We compared it to Kenya and to Botswana, Kenya was actually below at 2%, and Botswana was around 20%. Most other countries were above 10%. We at 5.8%. And Daniel, you mentioned something under your breath which is important. What is important is efficiency or productivity of the people that are there. So if we intend to increase it by another almost 350,000 to take it to 1 million, then we are looking at a situation where we are improving productivity. And we can do that because of the knowledge-based economy that we intend to bring in, riding on digitalization, riding on technology, and so.
Ms. Korte also said the $10 billion infrastructure plan will not add to the country's debt burden.
The 10 billion big push is something that we funded before. It is not new for us to do. We will do that through a lot of equity injection. You know, we will continue to push the public-private partnership, which we had already started, and we had some success with that. We'll enhance it, improve it, pass that law for sure, so that it can do more. I mean, for example, if you looked at what MPS did at the ports in building the road to the port, that was a public-private partnership, and it's opened up the port so much. The port was congested. Today we have the ability to go freely into the port. The Temamoto flyovers and all that was predicated on those new roads coming up. So government is a continuum. And for what we've done, the MPP has been able to build upon it. So we'll have private sector money coming in. We'll have the government itself being able to borrow in addition to what is there, but in a smart way, in order that those projects are projects that pay for themselves, and therefore they're almost self-financing projects. That is the key thing. Instead of having fragmented projects in every district, whether they apply or not, we will make sure that projects go into the places where they can be self-financing, and debt management continues to be smart, and therefore we stay within the ratios.
I see here that there will be no additional burden on the public debt.
Because so the projects will be self-financing. There will be borrowing, but the projects will be self-financing. Therefore, government will not have to necessarily guarantee some of these loans and put it on their balance sheet.
Now, also on Prime Morning today was Chief Executive of the Ghana Investments Promotion Center, Geoffrey Grant, who described the NDC Manifesto as a wish list.
It's like somebody wakes up in the morning and takes a piece of paper and says, okay, I'm going shopping today. Let me just write the things that I think I like. And just writes a long shopping list. I mean, I would have liked to see a plan I mean, so, okay, and I'll give you an alternative. First of all, this $10 billion push that they're saying, I mean, we've already started with the Ghana Cares program, which is $100 billion program, 30% of it will come from government. So we are very clear on how we are going to do
$100 billion or cedis?
Yes, 100 billion cedis, sorry. Yes, 100 billion cedis, of which 30% will come from government and 70% from investment in the private sector. So we have clearly focused on a plan. Now, on the growth of jobs, yes, I expect that any government that comes will keep adding jobs. There's never an infinite number of jobs created. And of all the things, in 3 years, we have created 2 million jobs, and we are going to do more with the CARES program. But we have a plan, and our plan was predicated on clear policies. Clear policies, planting for food and jobs, we knew exactly what to do. Planting for exports, new factories and the 1D, 1F, the new auto industry and the 10-point industrialization program, which clearly states certain focal areas in which Ghana is going to be a hub. And we can actually estimate how much jobs or how many jobs we can put in there. We've expanded education because of free SHS. We need more teachers. We need more people to go into the education sector, so we know exactly where it is. The new pharmaceutical industries that we've outlined that we're going to set up, we have clearly identified plans that when we can actually quantify. But if you say, oh, we are going to do infrastructure, and if you do infrastructure, it will lead to more jobs. That's not a plan. That's a wish list. You have to tell me what in infrastructure. How many roads are you going to build? How many schools are you going to build? How many clinics are you going to build? And how many people are they going to employ? So
Now, he challenged Ghanaians to select the next government based on a political party's performance.
Words are cheap, and it's always about record and your performance. If you had 8 years, and at the end of your 8 years, we saw an economy racing to crash, and we've come in, and after 1 year, just 1 year of fiscal consolidation and reforms, we've turned that around, and in 1 year, GDP growth jumped from the declining 3.6% to 8.1%. The next year it was 6.3%. The next year it was 6.8%. An average of 7%. To the extent that even the World Bank and the IMF said that Ghana was one of the fastest growing economies in the world because of those 3 years of growth. When in 2016 we saw a decline. And so people ask, okay, so what did you do that brought about the decline? What are you going to do now? Because it's the same story. You know, and we've heard the presidential candidate say that he's come to correct the mistakes that he made. So obviously, I even acknowledge that they made mistakes. Now, this is not a trial and error thing. If you made mistakes, then we are not waiting for you to come and try again. When under your watch, we saw the economy decline, jobs were lost, decimated our industry. We've come back, we've put in new policies to create industrial growth. We've come back, we are also looking at agriculture. And for us, you see, if you look at the NDC's plan, and I listened to the whole budget, I was just wondering, so what is the real oomph in this budget that will get me excited? Unfortunately, I didn't see any.
But that comes as no surprise, Mr. Grant.
Oh,
that
really?
you would not be excited by this.